I mean, absolutely, fans are an integral and fundamental part of the game, and they have an absolute right to air their views. But there is a way to do it, and there is a building narrative. I think some of this was brought on by certain people egging on this kind of outlook, whether it's the media or certain pundits that have a rather lot to say for themselves, I think sometimes in a very irresponsible fashion. But you look at the narrative that's being built up over this situation. We know that the Blue Touch paper was lit by owners wanting to take football in a certain way. But that's the symptom. The disease is something else. The disease is the money in football and the need for money to be generated and the greed that pervades football. And now what's being used is a narrative to advance the fact that owners operate in a certain way, fans operate in another, and what you've got is fans now stepping across the line. They're going onto training grounds. They're going into... I don't care if they were let in by people that work for Manchester United or they broke in. Their actions on that pitch are a discredit to English football. 20, 30 years ago, we had to live with the embarrassment of the Europeans laughing at us because our football fans were given the moniker of the English disease for hooliganism. Now we're going to have another set of scenarios where our fans at certain clubs are behaving in a certain way. And Manchester United fans that went on that pitch, I don't think you are fans, if you're a genuine Manchester United fan, you must be appalled and embarrassed and feel an element of disgrace about what happened yesterday, because I don't care what people like Gary Neville come out with, calling on a lynch mob and start to talk about the fact that this is an entitlement for fans to do. No way is there an entitlement to attack police officers. No way is there an entitlement to break onto a football pitch, climb on football goals, break into hospitality, smash up environments, purely and simply because you think you've got a cause. And the cause you've got is because people that own your football club, you don't like the way they bought the football club and funded it through other people's money, and you don't like the fact they tried something on that they didn't get away with. Nothing justifies this kind of behaviour.
I don't think they're condoning that, anyone. I think what you're talking about is the narrative.
There's an element of it.
Yeah, but the narrative of fans coming together to create change is more what you're talking about. I think everybody yesterday was against the stupid, moronic behaviour.
Well, we had pundits sitting there saying, this has been brought about by 16 years of frustration. This is an opportunity to mobilise, and we'll hear clips in a minute, I'm sure.
That's the bit I'm talking about.
These are the parts that
on
are
that very
very
No, I'm with you, Simon. Let me nail my colours to the mast. I'm with you. I mean, let's get it right. There's no excuse for that. And when you're talking about fans mobilising together you've got to do that in the right way. As we saw 2 weeks ago.
Did Gary Neville phrase this correctly? This was just a tiny part of what he said yesterday.
Today there is anger. I would hope tomorrow it switches towards mobilisation, towards reform and regulation and behind the fan-led review. And what I would say is, I accept, and I might be a little bit naive here, but when I talked 2 weeks ago about these two football clubs, Manchester United and Liverpool, they should act like the grandfather of English football, demonstrating compassion, spreading the wealth through the family, their experience, being fair. They haven't done. They've demonstrated self-greed and tried to walk away with all the money themselves and left the family struggling below.
What of that do you disagree with, Simon?
I agree with some of it about the selfish nature of football, but that pervades football. Full stop. The Premier League, despite the fact it has promotion and relegation, has decimated English football. 90% of TV revenues go into the Premier League. The 10% is left for the rest of English football. Gary Neville is a barrack room lawyer that sits on PFA panels, turning around and saying that we think salary caps on one hand in the public domain are something that football needs to have, whilst behind the scenes he's talking about the fact that the PFA should never allow people to have salary caps to try and control football finances, which at the centre of this, all of this, is money. The irony, Jim, when we talk about the fact that football isn't about money, Man United fans will say, it's not about money, it's not about money, it's not about money, or more to the point, it's all about money. Football's all about money. Well, if it's all about money and you hate that, why are you making it about money? Because the Glazers are taking money. The hypocrisy of the argument you're advancing is football isn't all about money, whilst you make it about money because the Glazers are taking money. Nobody sits there and says, Alexis Sanchez ripped 25 million quid out of Man United for doing nothing, and that's an outrage. Neville sits there advocating independent regulation. Why? Because he's one of the intellectual capitals behind independent regulation with David Bernstein, and he wants a seat at the top table. The hypocrisy of his ownership of Salford, when you've got a billionaire owner in there that's funding Salford, that to my mind are losing money left, right and centre, that probably breach financial fair play, and all of this is being utilised by Gary to advance a soapbox wrapped in hypocrisy. Yes, these owners and the ownership models in football right now are flawed. But why are they flawed? Why has it got to this point where football club owners are trying to behave in this fashion? Because of the greed across the board in football and hypocrisy embodied by people like Gary Neville.
How many of those fans on the pitch yesterday, Simon, do you think actually know what the Glazers are about?
Well, look, does anybody really think that some of these owners, Sheikh Mansour and other people that own football clubs, John Henry, love these football clubs? They bought them. Football has attracted billionaires because of the nature of the size and scale of the opportunity. Every single football fan, the Newcastle fans screaming for the next billionaire to come in and spend money. Man United fans saying that we should be spending £250 million a year rather than £140 million a year are basing their business upon the need for more revenue and more money. So do they know the Glazers? No. But football fans once upon a time would say, I don't care who owns my football club. I don't want to know them. All I want to know is my team is doing well on the pitch. And here comes the real answer. Between 2005 and 2013, when Man United were winning something, they might not have liked the Glazers, but they weren't doing this. Between 2013 and 2021, when they're not winning things, here's the narrative.
So yesterday on Sky, I thought Souness made some great points, and
he did.
There was a lot.
And he got vilified by certain people.
He did, but one of his great points, I thought, was the fact that 2 weeks ago we had the revolt against the Super League, but what he was talking about was if Manchester United's recruitment and the amount of money they spent had been better, and they'd had success from 2013
would we be
to
seeing
now,
this?
would we be seeing this if they'd won the league 2 years ago and was in the final of the Champions League last year? That's ultimately it.
Absolutely. We also have to look at the climate of the country that we're living in at this moment in time. People have been in lockdown. This is a disappointing thing for me, is that we have been campaigning for football to be treated the same way as other sports fans are being treated. We have football fans coming on here saying that rugby fans aren't treated this way. I didn't see Saracens fans railing against Nigel Ray because he's effectively broken that rugby club, dropping them down. But football fans do.